you know, how we got here, and then what's new, and then an overview of the updated specifications with some demos. I'm going to skip the poll because we're not, you know, not in person. The profiles, there are three: the platform, the web profile, and the core profile, and we'll talk about those. And the platform itself is a standard platform for hosting all the Jakarta EE applications. Now, there are 42 specifications, last I counted, and only 30 of them make up the platform, and you'll see them in a minute. So, of course, this is designed for anybody who wants to use that full set of specifications for their applications. And here are the 30 that I mentioned. And the ones in blue are the ones that are have updates for Jakarta EE 11. Most of the others, most likely Jakarta EE 10 is their latest, you know, target platform. There might be some a little older with 9, but I'd have to look that up. And so you see here we have a new specification, Jakarta Data 1.0, and this will be part of the platform and the web profile. So the web profile is just a subset of the platform for, you know, obviously the for web technologies. And there you see those, and as I mentioned, the Jakarta Data is one of them. And the core profile, it's a subset for targeting smaller runtimes. Right? Of course, this would be good for microservices. You know, it's for cloud native, you know, all that kind of thing. And this was introduced in Jakarta EE 10, which was September of 2022. And those are those 7 specifications that make up the core profile. So we took care of that. Let's go into the road to Jakarta EE 11. And so we've had 4 milestone releases. And you can see the dates listed there. The most recent one was in June of this year, and that's milestone 4. And I have here a target date of September 2024. There's been a bit of a delay due to a refactoring of the technology compatibility kit, or JD, TCK. And a couple of things are happening there. There's a migration from Ant to Maven, and also, you know, it's the harness. One of the harnesses to our killing. So I can't think of the harness one at the moment. Sorry, but that's, you know, there's a lot of work involved there. So that's you know, that's where we are. So let's hope we see something coming soon. It'd be great to have this released for everybody. All right, so we've covered those 3, and so let's go what's new. Just an overview. All right, so we have new specifications. I mentioned Jakarta Data, and what the heck is this? MicroProfile JWT Bridge. If you haven't heard of this yet, it is relatively new. There's still a work in progress. We're going to have a couple of slides on that. The managed bean annotation has been removed. I know managed beans was something that was popular early on in the history of JavaEE, but it's everything is going over to context and dependency injection, or CDI. All right, so that's that. And also the security manager class in Java was deprecated in JDK 17. And it's still there, but it is deprecated. But so I don't know. To be honest, I don't know when that will come out, when it'll be finally removed. As far as JDK 23, which gets released next month, I think it will still be there. So stay tuned for that. CDI Lite basically is a way to separate out, you know, the various, you know, having the SE versus the EE in CDI. So it's just a way to make things less on circular dependencies. Optional features, there was a standard written for, it's going back as far as last year as far as optional features. So this is a quote: an individual specification can have optional features. However, when a component specification is included in the platform, web profile, and core profile, an optional feature must be explicitly declared as required, otherwise it is not required. And there was some discussion over this about some of the verbiage on that, but basically optional features, I guess, can be there, but they have to be listed as required. I think that's the bottom line. So I have listed 3 of the specs which don't have updates for 11. All of them, their last updates were for Jakarta EE 10. The dependency on Jakarta XML binding was removed from the Jakarta RESTful Web Services spec. So, and then just to go back to the CDI Lite, CDI will split out the integration-related spec and text into a separate specification document. That's all right. There's support for Java records. Of course, it's been out for a couple of years now. So Jakarta Persistence and Jakarta Validation now support that. And of course, with the release of JDK 21 almost a year ago, Jakarta Concurrency does support that. All right, and there's some initial work on interoperability between the MicroProfile JWT authentication and Jakarta security specifications. I mentioned this a little bit already. That's that JWT bridge. All right, so that covers that. Okay, and now for the next 3 hours, I'm going to talk about the updated specifications with demos. And I'm only kidding about that, by the way. So we'll see what we can get covered over here. So it's 10:12, so we'll have 45 minutes to do all this. So here are the updated specs. They're just going to list them here, and I have a slide for each one. So Jakarta Faces 4.1, I think, was supposed to be a 5.0, but the spec leads on that didn't think they had enough to make it a full, major release. So that got brought back to 4.1 from 4.0. And there are the others right here. All right. Questions so far? I tend to talk a little fast, so I need to slow myself down a little bit. And I don't know if anybody knows who this is. So and are there any questions, Samina?
No, there's no questions so far.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. So my demos here are going to use Pyara Micro, essentially. And of course, I'd like to let people know that Pyara has their own implementation of their cloud. So that's something to consider if you're going to a cloud-based application. All right, the JWT Bridge. All right, so as I mentioned already, this is a collaboration between the 2 working groups. And this gives the ability for Jakarta security apps to build on the MicroProfile JWT authentication to provide seamless integrations. And this eliminates a duplication of effort and circular dependencies. Having said that, this is still a work in progress. And the current thinking is to target a former release of this in MicroProfile 7.1. I have a slide on the specs for MicroProfile just for some background info, but 7.0 is going to most likely be released on the 22nd of this month. So 7.1 will be sometime next year. And basically you can see how the 2 specs on opposite ends of the JWT bridge, that's how it'll collaborate between there. There's a new annotation with this very short name of JWT Authentication Mechanism Definition. And the intent is to move the optional section of MicroProfile JWT authentication to the new bridge specification together with all of the TCKs. So I think it has to be implemented. I tried to, maybe try to make something work with the annotation itself, but, failed miserably. But so instead, I thought I would show you the new annotation and all the parameters that, are part of it there. So you can see, your normal, security type of will reside.
Everyone, sorry, Mike just froze up there a couple of seconds. So Mike, I'm just going to ask you to reset and come back if you have a moment, please.
I'm sorry, to reset?
Yes, please.
I don't know what you mean.
Sorry, just to reset the, so go out and then come back in.
Oh, so, okay. Oh, am I frozen
Here.
or something? Or?
You were frozen, yeah, for a
okay.
quick moment there. We'll just have you take off from
Am
the
I good now? Okay.
Yes, one moment, please.
Okay. So, okay. I guess I hide Lukeman. Do I stop sharing or?
Mike, I'll just ask you to go out and then come back in altogether, please.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
So just, all right.
Just
Be
leave
right
and then
back.
come back. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. There you are. You can
Good.
continue now. Thank you so much. You just have to share your presentation again. You had froze up
Okay.
there for a quick moment, so I just want to make sure that everybody in the audience gets the materials.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, it says the screen is actively being shared. Oh, geez. Okay. I thought I stopped sharing already. Can you see me? My
Yes,
screen or?
we could
I'm
see you.
already
I don't
sharing.
see
Okay.
your. We can't see your screen, but we do see you.
Okay. It says that there's a screen being shared, and I don't know how to get out of that.
Okay, let me see if I can assist here on my end.
Yeah, I don't see this stop share. Wait, hold on. There's this. Oh, no, that's different.
Are you able to hover over the present button?
Yeah, and it says the screen is actively being shared. Ask the presenter to stop sharing if you want to share media. So, which
Okay. Let me just see here. I'll try something else. Did you want to share your presentation with me, and then I can see if I can open it on my end?
Well, yeah, it's a keynote presentation locally. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here, let me just see. Let
Oh,
me
wait,
try.
maybe this full screen. Wait a clip. No, sorry.
How about you try closing Crowdcast altogether and then coming back in altogether? So refreshing the page.
Yeah. Okay, let me log out and come back in again.
Okay, thank you. We apologize, everyone, for the delay. There was just the freezing of internet connection. So Mike is going to retry and join us momentarily. Okay, we see you've joined. And then if you click on the present.
There we go. Entire screen. All right. Share. Okay. That good?
Awesome.
Okay, you don't see my camera. That's okay. Nobody needs to see my face anymore.
We see you.
All
We
right.
see you. We're good. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. You could take off when you get an extra 10 minutes, Mike. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So, all right. So I was just starting to do the specs. So your first one is in alphabetic order here. Jakarta annotations. This is a collection of annotations representing common semantic concepts that enable a declarative style of programming. Okay, so let's see. For example, there's roles allowed. That's one of them. There's can't think of any off the top of my head, but these are shared among the Jakarta EE ecosystem. So yeah, and basically only what's new here is the removal of the managed beans annotation. The new version is 3.0, and you can see the compatible implementations, Glassfish 7.0-milestone 1 for Jakarta EE10 and 8.0 milestone 3. Just a quick word on Glassfish. I don't know if anybody was at Lukman's presentation. That was at 9 Eastern time this morning. He talked about the importance of Glassfish. You'll see that here because they do, they do a lot of implementations of these specs. You'll see that throughout this presentation. So, and Glassfish 8 is at milestone 7 right now. So just a quick word on that. And then authentication. It's also part of security. So it's like the authentication is. It's a low-level SPI for authentication modules. So what's new basically is minor updates to support the overall goals of Jakarta Security, some clarifications around state and concurrency, and again, references to Security Manager. That's in a lot of these specs that you'll see. 3.1 will be the new version, and Glassfish 8.0 milestone 6. So you have a newer version there. And Eclipse Epiciro, I think that's how you pronounce that. So authorization. This is a low-level SPI for authorization modules. Right? Again, it's another subset of Jakarta Security. Basically here, what's new is to future-proof the spec and make it more suitable for cloud deployments. Okay? And then standardize the context ID for server containers. That's the first page of that. Several new convenience methods to make the API easier to use. And again, references to Security Manager. So, and we'll go through some of these a bit quickly. I'd like to make some time for demos. That's always the fun stuff. And then you can see Glassfish 8.0 milestone 5 and Eclipse Exousia, I think is how you pronounce that. So version 3 will be the new one. Concurrency, this is a mechanism for using concurrency from application components without compromising container integrity, while still preserving the fundamental benefits of the Jakarta EE platform. All right. And as I mentioned earlier, support for JDK21 virtual threads, and also support for the Java Flow class and the MicroProfile reactive streams operators and the MicroProfile context propagation specs. If you remember in that chart earlier, those are standalone specifications in the MicroProfile ecosystem. Oh yeah, replace more features from enterprise Java beans. That's been dormant. I want to say that that's going to be history. That's, as you know, those of us who have been around long enough knows enterprise Java beans back in the day. So the schedule annotation is one that has been replaced in concurrency. There are others. I think the lock annotation still needs to be done, things like this. And also the goal is to become more centric to CDI. And in this case is by adding the ability to inject default resource implementations of the managed executor service and context server interfaces. Okay, and the compatible implementation is Open Liberty 24.0.0.6 beta. So that's the June release of Open Liberty. All right, CDI. All right, it specifies a means for obtaining objects in such a way to maximize reusability, testability, and maintainability. If you've worked with any kind of Jakarta EE application, the most, I think, is the most used annotation is inject. Okay, so you've used CDI if you've used inject for injecting some kind of service into your application. All right, new methods for the Bean configurator interface, and then support for the priority annotation on producers. Okay. 4.1 is the new release, and Weld has, I think, been a long time implementer of CDI. So 6.0. In my apps, I'm using Weld 5.1.2. Because 6 is still in progress. Jakarta Data. So this is our new one. We have an application to demo here. So all right. So this is brand new. I'm one of the committers. All right. But this provides an API that allows easy access to database technologies. And you want to think of data as sort of in a hierarchy of Jakarta Data, and then underneath you have Jakarta NoSQL and Jakarta Persistence. So basically that's the intent, to have all that work together. So there's a repository interface, and there's also a repository annotation. All right, and this one was fun. I really like being part of this. And as we go on here, so support for CDI extension. There's a new basic repository interface that basically, that will allow to build upon that. It has some of the basic find methods, like find all, find by IDs, stuff like this, and you can build upon those to make your own custom find by methods. There is a data repository. Basically, it's kind of empty. So you can, if you really want to do something like that, something from scratch, you can use that one. It's also a CRUD repository, for CRUD operations. You have new methods for that, and you have new annotations that you can use as well. There is a Jakarta Data query language, which is quite new. It was right before we went with the 1.0. Is something we decided to add on. It's a simple language designed to be used inside a query annotation to specify the semantics of query methods of Jakarta Data repositories. This is a subset of Jakarta Persistence query language. And I wish I had a chance to provide an example on that, but I did not. But hopefully at some point I'll be able to demo that. Oh, and I wanted to mention Gavin King was a big help getting this done. He's the creator of Hibernate. And yeah, so there's a service release that's 1.01 is our current version, and the compatible implementations is Hibernate ORM 6.6, and then Open Liberty, which has been a supporter of Jakarta Data since the beginning. Nathan Rao, who's one of the committers, works for IBM, and he's been big help in getting these things implemented. And so yeah, that's he was a great help with all that. All right, so a live demo. So let me escape out of here, go over to my Jakarta EE 11 repository, which is on GitHub. And let's see. So let's go. Well, I don't know. It's better to run it first. Let's take a look at the source code real fast. All right, so you have a lot of these classes here, and let's start with a simple Pojo. The application itself, I'm a big craft beer enthusiast, right? So of course I had to do something like this, right? I have this simple database for that, and let's start here first. It's a MongoDB, so I want to mention that before I forget. And you can see I have a beer collection and a brewer collection. So, so I have a handful of beers and a handful of brewers listed in here. All right. So basically, without getting into gory detail on this, this is a simple Pojo, all right, that handles the different fields here, an ID. There's a beer type, which is basically a simple enumeration, right? Okay, this is nothing really earth shaking. You have a beer repository which extends data repository. So you can see in this case, I'm actually starting from scratch. So I had a find all. There is a find by ID. IDs are your typical find by methods. The resources that defines the endpoint. So there's a beer endpoint which is listed here, and then you have the templates, the ID. And stuff like that. Okay, so and then in this case brewer, and yeah, I'm trying to remember what the deal was with that. Sorry, talking to myself. But anyway, and then the same thing with the others. There is the brewer itself. Again, it just stores all the various fields in the MongoDB collection. All right. And data application just basically extends application. That's our entry point. So let's run this. And so I'm going to use Payara Micro. So I'm going to start from scratch, live demo, MDN, clean package, and then start Payara. So I have the scripts and stuff to do all these things, and let's keep our finger crossed nothing decides to blow up today. So this is all the output from Payara Micro starting up. Okay, very good. So upon successful deployment of your WAR file into Payara Micro, you'll get your URLs and then all the other endpoints, with the HTTP verbs. So we can start from scratch here and go there. You can actually change this to localhost. This comes in handy with the concurrency demo I have, which I'm not going to demo, but had hard coded. Yeah. So all these apps start with this splash screen, as I call it, right? I think this just goes to a welcome to the Jakarta Data. Nothing exciting here, but here I'm going to interact with the database a little bit. So we'll get the list of beers as you saw in MongoDB Compass. All right, you can see them here, and then the list of brewers. Okay, so that's nothing. Nothing exciting. But what I want to do is start a new shell. Okay. Data. Okay, and then let's add to the database. Okay, so we added in the script, I added Red Lake Brewing Company, New Jersey, and where's Flemington? I didn't see that in there. Oh, there it is. Okay. So in theory, we should have a new brewer listed in here. This is it right there. Yep, there's 7. And you can see it in here, Red Lake Brewing Company. And we'll refresh our screen here. And you can see it in here. So we've added that. So that's how you would, add. And then we can run a delete. I didn't get a chance to update it, but I'm just going to run it anyway and see what gets deleted. So you don't get any output from that, but we refresh. Number 6 got deleted. So, right. So there you go on that. And yeah, it's nice that, to be able to use this and then interact with relational databases as well. I don't have an example of that, but here you can see we can use it with Jakarta NoSQL databases. So, all right. Any questions?
So far, no questions.
Good. All right, the expression language, and just a disclaimer, some of these specs I have not had a chance to experiment with. I just, I can tell you all about it, but again, I wish I had some more, background to talk about it. I'd love to experiment with all of them, so we'll get there. But yeah, so expression language is just a simple language to meet the needs of presentation layer and web applications. So, and let's see. Oh, and with new features like relational, logical, arithmetic, conditional, and empty operators, and things like this. So, the Java.desktop module is no longer required at runtime, and there's a new length property that is supported for arrays. 6.0 is going to be the new version, and Apache Tomcat is the compatible implementation. It's milestone 18. I think they're up to 20 something at the moment. So, but that's they still support the 10.0 and 9.0, and I think even the 8.0 release trains on that. Jakarta Faces, like I almost said Jakarta Server Faces because that was its old name. I think that name got changed in either 10 or 11. I forget which one of them was changed earlier. So if you've worked with Model View Controller, that's basically what this is. For building user interfaces. And let's see, what's new? There's a requirement for firing events for Jakarta CDI and for those annotations that you see listed there. And there's a deprecation of the unused classes known as pre-destroy custom scope event and post-construct custom scope event. So that's the beauty of Java. They, all these nice long descriptive names. And Glassfish 8 Milestone 6 and Eclipse Mohara are the compatible implementations for Jakarta Faces. Interceptors. This one intrigues me, but again, I haven't had a chance to play with this. This is a means of interposing on business method invocations and specific events, such as lifecycle and timeout events that occur on instances of Jakarta EE components and other managed classes. So the dependencies were updated to align with Jakarta EE 11, and there's a new overloaded get interceptor bindings method that was added to the invocation context interface for interceptor bindings. And I think part of part of this whole interceptor thing, I think that the roles allowed annotation that is defined in Jakarta annotations, there is an effort to get a separate one for Jakarta Security. But I don't think that's been implemented yet. So this was as of April that I knew this. So in any event, yeah, so I think that's the whole idea behind that. All right, so 2.2 will be the new version of interceptors, and Weld 6.0 Beta 1 will be the compatible implementation. Jakarta Pages, formerly known as Jakarta Server Pages. And this is, if you've used this in the past before, that's the JSP extension that you would use in your browser. Defines a template engine for web applications that supports mixing of textual content with custom tags, expression language, and embedded Java code. That is ultimately used in a Jakarta server. There's an updated error data class to support the new Jakarta servlet constant field values, as you see listed there. And then all code deprecated as version 3.1 have been removed. 4.0 will be the newest release, and Apache Tomcat 11 Milestone 20, compatible implementation. How am I doing on time? Oh, good. All right. Jakarta persistence, and then obviously this involves relational databases and object relational mapping, like in Hibernate. There is a whole slew of new features here. I only listed a few here. It's on the Jakarta EE specification page for persistence. I mentioned earlier the support for Java records. Numerous new methods added to classes and interface, such as the ones you see there, like criteria query, entity manager, and so on. And there's a whole bunch more. There's this whole migration to the java.time API. So there was a deprecation of the use of our long-time Java calendar, Java util date, Java SQL date, and those, and then a couple of others. Gavin King has a great write-up on the idea behind what they did here, right? And you can find that out if you go to in.relation.2, and that's the Hibernate blog. I should have put the link in there. And then also as a removal of deprecated code from Jakarta Servlet 3.1. All right, so 3.2 will be the latest version. Eclipse Link 5.0, Beta 2, and Hibernate ORM 7, which I think is GA now, but the Alpha 2 was the compatible implementation for that. So no surprise, right, that Hibernate ORM is that. All right, RESTful web services. So we use this all the time, right? You create a new application, you do, Mike's application extends application, right? And you have you define your endpoints and resource classes and so on. So this is a foundational API to develop web services following the representational state transfer, otherwise known as REST. And there's a couple of new things here. A new contains header string method added to the container response context interface that checks for header value lists, and a new method get matched resource template added to the URI info interface to obtain the template for the current URI request. And I went to add this to my REST application in the repository. And I went, I think you have to inject it because it is an injectable interface, the URI info. And I was presented with the unsatisfied dependencies error message, which has been driving me absolutely bananas. And I don't know what I'm missing on there, but if somebody can explain that to me at some point, because I've run into this one in the past. But so anyway, I was gonna try to see what the output would be from using that one, but no such luck. Some additional TCK tests, and then the deprecated managed bean annotation, and dependency on the Jakarta XML binding was removed. And that, if you go back to the optional features, that was related there. 4.0 will be new, and then Eclipse Jersey, which has been a long time implementer, along with REST Easy. Those are the two compatible implementations. Jakarta Security, okay, a standard for creating secure Jakarta EE apps and modern application paradigms. There's a new API that supports users to choose their own multiple authentication mechanisms. And some of those is like the per URL pattern, a mechanism for client cert, and so on. I think I mentioned the roles allowed. And then the security manager class has been removed. All right, and that kind of thing. So, and I know there's a new annotation too. There is a great presentation by Arjan Times, who just delivered that at a conference last week or the week before. I could probably try to get a link to that. But I like what he did. He actually took had groups of the specs under different things like REST, security, components, whatnot. And then he had the specs that fall into those categories. That was a nice way to see that, you know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty awesome. So, Arjan is one of the spec leads for security, and I think authentication and authorization. I do have a quick demo on security. It's it's basically using the whoops, sorry. Let's see, security. Okay. Yeah, the identity store. All right. So so basically, what I have here is a simple, it's a simple thing here where I define my my username, my password, real secure password, right, as you can see. And then my roles are admin and audit. And if we run that, all right, let's see. And you can see my consistency here. Oh, I should have done that. Hold on. Stop that. Don't want two instances of Payara micro running here. like we should have some Jeopardy music in the background while this is running.
Next time we'll arrange that.
It's always awkward, you know, when you wait for something to start up. Oh,
It's
what did
the
I do?
silence.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, geez. All right, hold on. Okay, I forgot to change directory on this. The beauty of the beauty of live demos.
Yes, yes. Well, we appreciate it, and you can see it moving, so we know that you're not frozen.
That's exactly. Hey, if that's the worst that happens today, I think we're doing pretty good.
100% agree.
Matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna exit out of the terminal window since I won't need it anymore. So just have the MongoDB window down to 5 there. So, oh, here we go. All right, so 2 for 2 so far. So, let's see. Close that. All right, I can just put that there. All right, so, I'm gonna put in Serena and some whatever, and it'll say, I don't think so, Tim. That was a reference to an old TV show. So if I say Mike and then password, and then you'll see that it allows me in, and I have some real exciting data to show here that just has my roles, and it says here user has role, web user has role user, which is false because I did not define that in the application. Now, there's so much to do in Jakarta Security. There's using JWT, and there's also using Keycloak and all these other different ways. This is just scratching the surface. One thing I wanted to mention was this Jakarta EE 11 repository is going to be evergreen. So as I get a chance to add more features or whatnot, it'll be up there. So that's what I want to do for that. Let's go back here. All right, I think we're getting on the home stretch here. So you said I had a few minutes extra. So.
Yes.
So,
yes, don't you worry.
well, servlets, servlets have been around for 20 years or so, that kind of thing, right? Server-side API for handling HTTP requests. And then there's an update on status codes. And I have that listed here in some notes. So improved support for HTTP status codes, 301, which is moved permanently, 302, which is found, 303, which is see other. And so that's one of the new features for that. Again, the security manager class has been removed. And then Tomcat 11, milestone 20 is the compatible implementation. And I do have a live, I can do that real quick maybe. Now, maybe at the end I'll have to have time. Why don't we show validation at some point, which is next. Okay. Yeah, this it provides an object level constraint declaration, right? Just to as a validation facility, right? And it's formerly known as Jakarta Bean Validation. As a matter of fact, the URL or the endpoint from is still Bean dash validation as opposed to just validation. So I don't know if that'll be changed at some point, but yeah, and as I mentioned, support for Java records and update dependencies for Jakarta EE 11. Compatible implementations, Hibernate Validator 8.0.1 is that version. And let's go to validation here. So let's see. Okay, so okay, so I have a user. Actually, it's the old Pojo, right? Class user. Here's the user record. All right, so it's basically a record version of what of the Pojo itself. All right, so it's basically you can supply your annotations for each one of these parameters in here. So you have not null, so the name has to be cannot be null. You want to assert true that the Boolean is there. And then here you can define some size values, min and max. All right. In this case, a simple example where you constrain the number of characters between 10 and 200. And then the minimum age, you should be 18, right? And then, min and max 18, and 150 as the max. I mean, I don't think anybody's lived that long. I know I won't live that long. And then an email validator, so that it parses that to make sure. All right, and so yeah, that's let's see, the resource, I think it's validate, something like this. So so you create the new. So here's the user record. So I have this one here. You can see it's not being used because I decided to do the user record. But I wanted to show that the two together and how you would do that. So it says that I'm a Java champion. I'm 13 years old, and then my email is just Mike. So you can see right away that this data is not valid, right? So we're going to do a factory validation factory for that, for the constraints, and build that message and put it out to the screen. So let's see, and then we go. Okay. Oops, I didn't want to do that. All right. The history sometimes could be a curse too. Portfolio. Okay, 3. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So you can see I wanted to be consistent with, being able to start Pyara Micro and to, for all of these here. So I will continue to do that. There's I don't know if you noticed some of the other projects in there, that there's a Jakarta Mail, which isn't exactly working. I don't know why, because it's Google. I think it's for my Gmail, it won't, it won't connect to it. So let's see. We'll run that. Okay, and here we go here. All right, so welcome, yeah. So they'll use a record, right? And it displays the record, and age should be not less than 18, as that's the outgoing message. The name must not be null. I think I had the name null in there, that's right. And the email's not in valid format. So you can see how relatively easy it is to implement some validation in your application. So, okay, so let's see. Almost 11 now. Yeah. WebSocket, yeah. It's an API for client and server endpoints for the WebSocket protocol, as defined by the IETF RFC 6455, which is, you can easily look that up, and it's a specification. So, all right. So, yeah, again, WebSocket is something I have not experimented with, but there's something known as ping and pong messages. So, I guess that's communication between two points. That's my guess on that. There is a new get session method that is added to the send result that will return a WebSocket session from which the session was sent. So just some improvements. Let's see, clarify the behavior of the max message size attribute so that it's not larger than the integer max value. And then again, references to security manager have been removed. 2.2 is the new version, Eclipse Tyrus 2.2, Milestone 1, and Apache Tomcat 11. Yeah, and let's finish up with the last of the slides. If you want to get involved, please consider contributing to open source Tanya Obradovic, she's the Jakarta EE program manager at the Eclipse Foundation. She gave a presentation earlier this year, and I thought this was awesome. To share, embrace, engage, and develop. And it's if you think about it, yeah, that's what it's all about, right? So I wanted to put that there, and also share your own Jakarta EE experiences if you want to get involved as well. If you have a Jakarta EE app you want to share. I know, Serena, you're always looking for some topics for these Jakarta Tech Talks, right?
Yes,
yeah.
yes, we
and
definitely.
So if you don't, otherwise you'll have to listen to me more, and we don't want that either. So I'm only kidding. So there's a whole bunch of acknowledgments here. In whatever form they've contributed, this is an alphabetic order. You can see the list here. I thank them tremendously for just everything they've helped me do in putting this together. Luis, for example, we were at DevNexus earlier this year. We spent some time on my laptop trying to get a security thing to work. Ariane Times did the same as well. So this is basically the list of folks that I owe them a debt of gratitude for their help. Contact info. So I'm still on Twitter, and but that's my handle there. That's my email. My main website is redlink.net, and then my GitHub is mpredley01 and /Jakarta EE-11 is the repo itself. I think I'll update these slides to add some resources and such. They're not available yet, but they will in the next day or so. And that's it. And this was an AI generated image, by the way. And it's too early for me to have one of those beers back there. But I always had my 4 glasses of beer at the end, and then Barry Bird, who's a big chocolate fan, came up with this particular AI generated. I guess he must have put in something about beer and chocolate. So, and that's. But I just want to say thanks to everybody for taking the time out of your day, and I hope you got something out of this. Please send me email on anything. Things that, especially things that you feel might need improvement, and this is how I make this better. If you want to clone my repo, do a pull request, that kind of thing, please do so. I would appreciate that.
We
so
want to
say
thank you very much, Mike, for your excellent presentation. We are greatly appreciative that you always take the time to share your insights with the community. So we wanted to thank you for that. I'll take a quick glance here in the chat because there's no questions that have been added to the actual Ask Questions tab, but we do have a comment / question from Grin. He basically said GitHub repository for the demos? ?
Yes, let's see. Yeah, I can put that in the chat.
Here. I'm going to actually do one better, and I'll bring it up on screen for you.
Okay, there it is right here. And
so Grin right here on the screen.
Okay, there it is. I put it in the chat. That's the URL. I see Max is, hello, Max. So
yes,
glad you're here. So I mentioned Max in one of the, and I have to make, Max is here. I have to, one of the things I wanted to do, this beer application was a command line app, and I wanted to make a REST app, and I wasn't quite 100% sure on how to get that going, and he got that going for me. So, but
amazing.
Anyway, but I wanted to mention that. Yeah. So, yeah. So thanks everybody again for coming. And what's up next month? Does you have anything set up, Serena? Or
We do have a couple of other Jakarta Tech Talks. So feel free. You're going to see them in the next week, listed in Crowdcast. But what I wanted to say, which is something super exciting, we have OCX. I'm actually going to ask you to stop sharing if you can.
Oh, I thought it did. Oh, no, there it is. Oh, no, I thought it says screen. I thought I stopped sharing. Oh, that's
Perfect.
weird. Did
Oh,
I stop? Okay, I think I stopped sharing already.
okay, perfect. Okay, let me just remove this. But yes, we do have OCX, and I wanted to share the actual video with all of you. So I'm just going to copy the link and put it in the chat. And when you have a moment, take a quick look. But we are hosting it in Mainz, Germany. So what we previously known as EclipseCon as our flagship event is now called OCX. So it is bigger, it is better. We have co-located events. Java is one of those co-located events. So we're super excited to have all of you join us. Registrations are open. Get your tickets. I think this event may even sell out because of how amazing it is. So take some time to review the link, look at the YouTube video that I just shared with you, and I'll also drop the registration link there as well so that you can get some more information. The agenda is also up. So there's a lot of great things to see. And I can tell you also the food is going to be amazing. The atmosphere, the venue is unique. So I encourage everybody to go ahead and register. And thank you so, so much again, Mike, for hosting with me today and sharing your materials. We greatly appreciate you. Take care, everyone.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the. Okay, take care.
Thank you. Bye.